Hello, welcome back. Last time I did a bunch of work in Mutual that did eventually result in me getting a diamond. I need a crystal in order to get somewhere new, though. And, right, so these 4 puzzles are all ones that I had to walk away from and come back to later, and it's finally time to come back. So, Barter, what have I learned in the intervening time, and can I do anything about it? Just seeing this room just instantly filled me with dread. That's not a good sign. But that's just remembering what happened last time I was here. Oh, this one too. Yup. Wow. Worse memories here than I thought. Okay, so I remember this has something to do with water. It's impossible to get something dry again after it's wet, or something. So we got a piece of oobleck here. It's all squishy, yeah, that's fun. The goal state would appear to be that I must unlock these 2 doors. Let's check that assumption real quick. Other option, build a gigantic tower of blocks. There was one idea of getting a key here and then also getting a block there. I don't think that's any easier than getting, and then like using the block to hop up to the block above the door here. I don't think that's any easier than getting 2 keys. So right, since both of those chests are down there, I can move 1 up here using oobleck. Is that of interest to either of these? I've asked myself this question before and come up with the answer of no, but let's re-ask it again. If this were up on the ledge, I could create multiple key-containing jars up there. Remind me of something. There's an action I want to try here. If I come into this, make a jar. Come into this. Make a jar. Bring one into the other. Take a key into it. And have 2 keys in a room. Then all I do is I end up back here where there's this problem again. If I instead... Let's just try a lot of operations real fast. If I take a jar in here... This is the same thing, right? So here's a jar in this room that contains a key. Here's another jar. I'm gonna make another jar and bring it in here. Like, none of these result in a profit in any way, right? So if I go in here with this jar, take this key into this jar, all that does is just get me back out with another key that might as well be the key I was already carrying. And I can go in here and get a key, and I have nothing. Okay. Alright, so that's done nothing. Now, okay, so this is the chest that has the key in it and the jar spot. So let's work with the other one. So in here there is water. That is the only asset until I flood the room and bring a key, and then I can bring a block. It requires both, but this is the means to flood something. So if I flooded this... processing some data right now. If I had duplicated this up on this ledge, I would have access to water up here. There is no way to use that because no object down here can come up onto this ledge without having already gotten the block. None of these allow me to take anything out of them without sacrificing something first, hence the title, Barter. I have to make a trade. I know how to make a few trades, but I don't know how to turn enough of a profit to get 2 keys out here, or the equivalent of 2 keys. So what do I know? Alright, so bringing this chest, bringing right chest into left chest is useless, correct? I think so? Yeah, there's really nothing I can do with that. So it's bring left chest into right. I get an extra left chest. Maybe. At some point, I really need to jar up some water, and this is how I do it. Oh, check it out. I think I learned something? Does this make any sense? I might have something here. Okay, what did I have for that fleeting moment before it escaped my grasp? Something about bringing this chest into this jar without leaving this room. Or maybe bringing the jar into the chest without leaving the room. This gives me a jar that contains water and a jar that contains water. A jar that contains water and a jar that contains water. I cannot also stick the chest into the jar, because when I go into the jar spot is gone. I could bring the chest into the jar. Then go into the chest and make a jar, but then I'd still be in the first jar, and, wait, let's try that operation. Oops, not what I meant to do. Okay, fine, let's just start over. Go in here, and I'm here, and it doesn't matter, and I can bring a key out, in case you want one of those. Sure. Bandwidth. I can only bring one item out of a jar ever. So since I haven't really messed around with this idea, let's mess around with this idea. Chest and jar. Enter chest. Make another jar. Set down jar. Enter chest. Make another jar. No, there is no way to put this chest into a jar made from its contents. I could make it from the contents of another... Because yeah, if I take the chest into the jar, there is no jar spot. I'm just back here again. Yeah, so the most I can come out of here with is either a key, or a jar with water and a key, which seems more valuable, maybe. So I'm leaving those resources behind. To come out here with one jar that has the ability to make this wet, and get the block out maybe. Which I am going to have to do. So I've already performed one transformation. It got me out here with a jar that's going to be sacrificed when I make my next... I think I at least understand how to get two keys out there. It's actually quite trivial. I don't even need to involve jars at all. All I do is this. I bring the chest in, here's a key. Okay. Getting some weird ideas here. They probably won't work, ultimately. Something is coming to me from... Oh... Yeah, it doesn't really work, though. Well, I'll play with it anyway. I can't. I can go in here with the chest, bring the key in, sure. And, like, I could just exit this right now and have a key out on the top level. 2 keys, but no way to get them up. What if I'm duplicating the block with the oobleck? That's really unintuitive, which is what makes me think there might be something to it. Also, hold on, no, I can't. Okay. Let's try something. So I'm gonna put this in a jar. Jar is here. Oh, but now the jar is down on the floor. Never mind. So that doesn't help me. Never mind. Can't do what I want. Do I have the ability to get 2 blocks? Let's try. I should be able to, right? Because that's a transformation that just involves... No, that involves losing this chest, doesn't it? So I'm at least thinking about new things, which is great. If the oobleck goes into a wet version of that room... No. So all I did there was I turned a chest into... What's in here? Wait, what did I do? No, I put the oobleck into a jar. That's what happened. Right, okay. I haven't committed it to a shape yet. So oobleck jar is here. There, that way I can take this chest into this one if I want. Which I don't. Oh dear. This is the only thing I know how to do. It's like that chest has to come back with me, inside this jar. As far as I know, that's impossible. Unless it's not. Let's see, because I can only really bring one object into that room, but could I bring... to make more? No, I couldn't. Okay, so this chest is the wet one with stuff in it. This looks like definitely, obviously a failure condition. However, it does let me duplicate a block, which is something I wanted to do. Just to remind myself about a certain mechanic I haven't seen in a while. Yeah, so I've been around a place where there was additional discussion of this game. Reminding about some stuff from earlier puzzles, and if I duplicate this block... Ah! If only I hadn't done that. Let's try that again. Okay, if I duplicate this block, here's how I do that. I now have 2. There's a fancy little trick I can pull here, which is something like this, right? There we go, 2 blocks are up. I don't suppose that's enough to get to the crystal, is it? It's 1 short. Well, that's interesting. Too short. Okay, that doesn't seem to be it. Alright, I've checked and rechecked my basic mechanical assumptions and they all continue to hold up, so let's check one of principle here. Level is called Barter. It appears... Oh, don't do that. That's a way to get stuck. I can't pick this up now. Well, that's fun. That doesn't mean anything, right? Chest does not have a larger pickup hitbox than the Oobleck. Well. Anyway, right, so... there are 3 top-level objects. The crystal is at the top level is dry. There's nothing I can do about that other than bring one of the 3 top-level objects into another one. What I need to end up with is 2 keys on this ledge. Probably. Okay, when those words come out of my mouth, they make me pause. Why? Because apparently I'm not 100% sure of that end state. Okay, so suspending what I was doing here, digging into that instinct to pause after saying that. I need to bring 2 keys up here because opening this door and opening this door would get me to the crystal. What other possible routes are there? There was the idea of a large block stack. It would take more blocks than I've ever been able to get here. I can get 2 blocks on this ledge where I'm standing, while sacrificing all other top-level objects. That's 3 for 2. I think I need to get 3 for 3 somehow, but since it's so much easier to do 3 for 2 than 3 for 3, is there any combination of 3 for 2 that I could do? The 2 blocks allow the 2 blocks to get onto this ledge together. Make a little tower up here and be 1 short of actually jumping on top of that. A block and a key do not have the same property. A block down here and a key only gets the key onto the ledge. The block gets left behind in the dust down here. There's no way that's ever gonna work. Okay, so then key and key gets nothing up onto the ledge. So block and block is best in terms of getting number of objects up onto here when it's just 2. Key and block is stuck down there. Key and key is both stuck down there, so those are basically equivalent. Block and block. I keep having this idea in mind. What if I can like hook a block onto this surface? Because there's this weird collision here, maybe there's a weird collision with the block. I mean, it's worth a try. And like, block and block isn't that hard to set up, right? It does require my oobleck to be jarred. Yeah, okay, so I just did this. Let's do it again. Here's the jar of oobleck. This comes in here, gets wet so that I can get the key out. But the key is not what I want right now. I will be having the key later. I take the jar, I leave the chest. I take this chest in there, I take the key into it. And that's the transformation that gets me a block. Okay. So that comes back out to the top level. I ditch this chest, because I have to. And now I go into this char, destroy it. Only take the oobleck, don't touch anything else. And that gives me 2 blocks. With the 2 blocks, I can get them up here. This would be pretty unsatisfying if it's actually the solution. Doesn't seem to be. Don't think there's any magical way I can embed a block into a door and have it standable. Okay, well, I tried. It was worth a shot. Okay, but again, this is so far the thing that's gotten me closest to the crystal. Oops. But there's no wizardry I can do to get closer from here. Okay. So, unless I've missed something with this, it would seem that I've proved... Oh. Wait. Clunk. Clunk. No clunk. So it has to do with the height where I start my jump from, huh? This little ability to bop my head on the bottom of that door has caused me so much distraction in here. I know it's not part of the puzzle. It can't possibly be. This level pack is way too high quality to rely on edge case bugs in the physics system like that. Okay, so, with that assertion, there is no way to get the crystal from this state, so this is a failure state. And this is the best of the 3 failure states I know that involve getting 2 objects out to this level. The only other way I could do this with 2 objects is if somehow they're both keys and they're both up here. So that's along with the assumption that these things are down in this pit. The only thing the block is really for is to get something that's in this pit back up here. Because of bandwidth... I cannot have a single object here and turn it into multiple objects. Well, anywhere at all, really. Because if I'm bringing something in here, unless I can enter something empty-handed and exit with something in my hand, the only thing I can do that with is a jar. A dry jar from this room in a state where I can't get a key out. That's a way to transport a copy of this room over here, but I can't do anything with it from here. I can only enter empty-handed because I can't reach any other objects from here. And this doesn't get me a key. Ding. Okay. So that says I cannot get the resources from these chests over here unless there's a block down there. Okay, so resume suspended state. I made the assertion that I must have 2 keys up on this ledge. No, I didn't. Did I? Anyway, so I tried 2 blocks. So if we're doing 3 to 2, the 3 top-level objects transform in some set of steps to 2 top-level objects. The only way that solves the puzzle is if they're both keys and they're both up over this little drop. Given the initial state, only one thing can end up over that little drop. And that one thing is only a chest or a jar of this room in the dry, with no way to access the key. Okay. So that means that I must trade 3 for 3. Because if I absolutely need a block in the pit to get things out, then one of the objects is a block and it can't help me up here. 3 blocks would be acceptable. Three blocks would be acceptable. I'd build a tower here, jump up on top of that, get to the crystal. Okay. 3 blocks or a block and 2 keys, or a block and a key. It's only 3 keys that doesn't work if I'm doing 3 for 3. because they end up stuck in this pit. Okay, so that means I am absolutely getting at least one block to the top level. Okay. Okay, there we go. Next part of this. Is what? So, how do I, in theory, do a 3-4-3? Now hold on, am I absolutely sure 3-4-3 is the only possible way this could happen? The only way I can make more containers is this jar spot here. I can do this as many times as I want. But unless I can enter this either empty-handed or with an object I'm willing to trade, like these easily destructible jars, and come out with something, then that does nothing for me. And when that's dry, that's no good. If I could manufacture multiple wet jars, we'd be in business, but in order to manufacture a wet jar, this chest comes in here, and I'm this one layer deep, so therefore I cannot do the thing I want with the... Wait a second. Okay, so let's work with this for a bit. If I bring this chest into this one, it is dry, but... See, now here I'm only coming out with one object ever. I've done no interesting operations there. I spent my key already. Yeah, all I did was move those one layer deeper. The result is the same. 2 for 1. 2 chests for 1 block. Seems like a bad trade. Still gets me closest if I still have the oobleck intact, though. Bringing this back in here doesn't particularly do anything, right? It doesn't seem to. That room is not really of any interest to me. Yep, and at this point that block is useless. So the only way that block is useful is if something else also still ends up down here. This chest has to be transported into something wet to get the block out. I need the block. I'm convinced I need the block. I cannot do without it. And I need something else, either 2 more blocks or 2 more keys. Okay, so hang on. Let's just think about general principles of 3-for-3. This means my last entry is definitely into a jar because I'm carrying... Okay, so if I carry... Where's my loss exactly? It's when I... Okay, so my loss is where I spend 2 objects to get 1 back is by... So there went 1 object, kind of. It didn't really. So I have 3 right now, but I'm bringing this into this jar, and that's where I lose it. So I lose this chest on the way out, and I lose that jar on the way out. So here's my 2 that turns into 1. So if I want 3 for 3, that step is illegal. Okay, so there's where to focus my efforts. If I want 3 for 3. And everything I've gone through, if all of my assumptions were correct, would prove that 2 for 2 is impossible. So, how do I do that operation without losing 2 things at once? If only jars could absorb the wet-dry state of the room you take them into, then I could do something. They do not, however. That jar stays dry. It has a watertight seal. Now I've done nothing but transform that into what's now going to be a glitch world. Okay. Why Oobleck? Does it mean something more than just that there's one extra step chained onto the puzzle that I get to choose which thing to copy? Okay, so hang on. So all the objects that can be copied. This chest. That seems like the most useful so far. This chest. That seems not useful so far. But I haven't done as much with it. Let's try it. So if I had 2 of those... The problem is this actual chest has to be brought into a wet place to make wet things. The other problem is it's my only source of keys, so now only one key exists anywhere in the puzzle, and unless I'm getting a whole lot of blocks out, it's now definitely unsolvable. And I can't repeat that process, because all my jar spots are gone. Okay, yeah, so all my jar spots are gone. Here I'm doing a transformation that's strictly worse than doing the thing that doesn't involve the oobleck at all. Not strictly worse, strictly the same. Alright, so I'm here again. If I bring a block in here... Okay, so I've never actually gotten to try this jump before. It is possible. It's impossible for that to be useful, however. Okay. So that's a definite no on copying the right chest. Copying the left chest gets me closer, but what else can I copy? Jars, keys, blocks. Is it possible to copy a block? Yes, I've done it. Several times today, in fact. Is it possible to copy a key? Yes, easy, but not keep it on that ledge. How did I once unlock this door? That definitely happened. I probably got a key and a block out. Okay, so let's go through that exercise then. How did I unlock this door? Probably wasn't too hard. I suspect what I did was I copied this. I took this in here. I turned it into a wet jar. I brought it out. And that jar contains a key that I can get at now. Okay, yeah, easy. Then I do this again to get the block. The other way. So actually performing these transformations is not the hard part. So this takes me back to the idea of one block, one key, which I haven't worked with today. There's a key in here. So that's how you unlock one door. Well, I've now mastered the parts of this puzzle that I had understood so far. However, all of them are definitely dead ends. Okay. So, let's do a search on all the actions that I did and look for alternatives. Actions available to me right now. Duplicate left chest, duplicate right chest, bring Oobleck into left chest, bring Oobleck into right chest. Duplicate right chest I'm going to prune right away, because that almost definitely led nowhere. Duplicate left chest may lead on. Bringing Oobleck into the chest may lead on, because it allows me to get a key out trivially here. So just turn the Oobleck into a key. And it allows me to jar up the Oobleck for later. Now what's interesting about that? Maybe nothing. Well, what that lets me do is to perform operations that involve picking up an item out here, while still maintaining my ability to later copy something. So jar of Oobleck, then I can do stuff with, like, making a jar here. There is no way for this jar to ever be useful, right? Okay, so let's see if I can prune any line of reasoning that involves making a dry jar of this room with nothing additional in it. Yes, definitely. Oh, for sure. That is never a useful action. If I ever make a dry jar of this room, it has another object in it. It's strictly worse to bring this in here in jar form than to just have it in chest form. Yeah, there is zero possible benefit to that. Okay. In here is Oobleck. That is retrievable. It is also strictly worse to turn this chest into a jar. I can do it. I can undo it. Wait. No, I can't do it. No. I cannot. That chest can't jar itself. Right. So no, I just can't even do that. All I would do is lose that chest. There's no way for the Oobleck to duplicate itself as far as I know. Or a jar containing itself or anything. And duplicating a jar doesn't make anything more. It just moves the jar, that's all. Gives it another potential point of entry. So a thing that seems like it's of interest is that the Oobleck is up here. Why would that be relevant? Only if I could turn a profit down here. Otherwise it's just not. There is no object I could duplicate that would give me 2 keys over here, or a key in a block, or anything of the sort. Okay, so I've jarred the Oobleck. From this point, my options are bring Oobleck into right chest, of no interest whatsoever. There are no objects I can pick up in here. Bring Oobleck into left chest. I mean, I can just do that from the top level state of the puzzle. Right, bring the jar. Bring this chest into the Oobleck jar. Definitely not. Right? Definitely not. That is strictly lossy. So right, I'm looking for operations that trade one of these objects for something that I can continue using later. So if my final... Oh, hold on. So I go in here empty-handed, and I come out with a piece of Oobleck. So if this chest goes in there... and I were to come out with... not a jar, but instead... Okay, so... Yeah, so this little shuffle where I turn that chest into a jar, it gains me water, but it costs too much. This water is too expensive. If I could bring 2 of it, then the price would be right. Can I bring 2 of it? Kinda? One inside the other. But still, I create the same bottleneck. The fact that the crystal is at the top level here just removes any possibility of doing any fancy things to get at it from a deeper level. I have to return to the top level, which makes this all about these bottlenecks. That step feels bad, but it's the only way... Okay, so here's an assumption to check. Is bringing this chest in here and trading it for a jar the only way to get this room wet? No. But that's not the question to be answering, right? The other way, of course, is to duplicate that chest and bring it into itself. So that's another way to get this wet. But it's useless because I'm bringing the chest in there, and I cannot also bring a key. Yes, I am certain of this. So once again, it looks terrible to duplicate the right chest. Which makes me think that, since there's obviously something super obtuse going on here, that's probably the actual solution somehow, but that's metagame thinking, not directly useful, just like, all it does is discourage me from pruning that line of reasoning, making this process harder, so let's not. So... how do I continue this search? Okay, so the assertion is, the only way to make this room wet and also get a key into it involves a 2-for-1 trade, right? I take this chest, it must be the chest because jars can't get wet if they're not already. So there's that trade, the one that feels super bad. Then I bring this into the jar. The reason this works is because this room both is wet and has a key in it. This is the most useful room state of any. But I can only make it once or twice, and not in the place where making it once or twice would be profitable enough. I've already tried this and it does nothing. Only the one key there, so I can't make any more, and at this point that's useless. Does that mean that's not involved in the solution? The only way it could be is if I'm jarring the oobleck first. Which is great, that gives me 2 blocks, but 2 blocks is not enough to solve this puzzle. I need something more than just 2 blocks. I need a key. Or 2 keys. Minus 1 block. And at this point I have nothing. I can't actually even bring that block into this chest to get the key out. In a manner of speaking, I can. I can do it this way. Alright, well, I mean, this is a new action I haven't taken before. It loses me my block. I still have the chest, though, which is interesting. 2 blocks and this chest could turn into a solution. 2 blocks in that chest. But I can't have all those things at once. How do I lose the second chest when I do my my conventional closest thing solution? Number 1 goes in here. I'm just transforming that into a key. Right? So I do this. Wait, but how does... Hold on, how does this result in anything? This seems... No, this just gets me back to the state I was in a moment ago. I'm getting dim little tingles of being close to a breakthrough. Why? Because I'm more thoroughly exploring a place that I didn't explore before. But again, this is the same state. I can just oobleck this chest at the start to get into this state. So jar this up, use the block on it to get the key out, sacrificing the block. But I do keep the chest. And I can't use the block in the chest. No, now that I've done this, I've lost stuff. Have I? No, I haven't. So is there a way to get this state? Let's see, so that was... with the trade of... Okay, so it takes both of these sacrificing themselves to get 1 block out. Okay, so here's a thing to focus on. Is there any possible way to get a block without sacrificing one of these and one of these? That requires top-level entry into... Or, so, hang on, no, let's work from the inside. It requires entering this chest both while wet and while holding a key. Holding a key part... Yeah, so the easiest way to fulfill those 2 conditions is in a wet jar of this room. So bring that chest into a wet jar of this room, enter that other one. There's no way to get this wet from the top level, so this cannot happen from the top level. I'm definitely going down into something. I can't go down into this chest because that takes up my hand slot, so that I can't also bring a key. And I can't bring 2 objects and be able to get them both out. So all signs point to, only way to get a block out of here is to have wet jar of this room. Okay. To get a wet jar of this room, I have to bring it into the water. The only place I can get water in the first place is in here. So I have to bring the chest into this room and turn it into a jar. By bringing it into this room, I lose the chest because I can only carry 1 object out. The 1 object I choose is a jar. There's nothing else I can put into this jar because due to bandwidth, One object comes in, one object comes out, and the jar shatters. So it is 2 to 1. Okay. So I am absolutely working with a 2 to 1 trade here. If there wasn't... If the glitch world didn't happen from a jar, could I do... I keep thinking about this thing that I know is impossible, where I take a jar out of here, and I duplicate that. Okay, that's interesting. If I duplicate a wet jar, is the glitch world wet? I really suspect the answer is no, but that's worth testing. I guess I'll take this key, might as well. I mean, there's no way. Of course it's not. No, of course it's not. Of course it isn't. There's nothing here. Can I do something deeper from there? Like... I haven't actually done this action before, right? Because, like, I have a broken jar here, and I can take stuff into it. Yeah, wait, I'm in here. Great. And here's the broken jar. Yeah, nothing, 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 nothing. Okay, that's barter. I mean, that's the end of all my lines of reasoning, right? Right? Is it? Is it? Do I have any other loose end to pick at all? If all of my assumptions were correct, I would have proven that it's impossible to get a block out without a 2-for-1 trade. If all of my assumptions were correct, I would have proven that I need something more than 2 blocks at the top level of this room to get to the crystal. I would also need something more than 1 block and 1 key. I would also need... False. Hold on, that one's not actually true. So 2 blocks anywhere in the room transforms to 2 blocks up on this ledge. A block and a key that are already on this ledge perhaps solve the room. 2 keys that are already on this ledge perhaps solve the room. So 2 for 1... 3 for 2, rather, is viable if the 2 objects can simultaneously end up here. Oh. I have something. Hold up. I have something. Do I? I might. What I'm picturing. This stays up here and turns into a block. Then I get a key down here. I stick the block in this spot. I toss the key up. I unlock this door. I use the block to, like... yeah, that would be 3 tall. It would be enough to jump up on top of this. And on top of that and get to the crystal. This door would never open. The problem is it's impossible to accomplish that. It's a pretty good problem, huh? Because I cannot... I can't keep this here in oobleck form and turn it into a block. Right? I have to pick something up. So turning it, jarring it up involves bringing down here. Is there some really silly thing I can do where I... So there isn't a way that I can somehow, like... Okay, if I go in here and I make a jar... The oobleck's going to transform, no matter how quick I get that out of my hands. Of course. My hands touched it, therefore oobleck sees that and immediately turns into that. So I can't have brought something in and then transported it up over the ledge somehow. No. Alongside the oobleck. No. Okay, yeah, as great as that state would be, it's impossible to create without already having more resources than I have. Yeah, once again, state being, keep this here but turn it into a block, have a key down there, do the toss onto the block here, and have both of those objects here and be able to win with them. The reason that's impossible is because to keep this here in oobleck form... Wait. If I bring a block... Yeah, okay, so a block in the pit does not transform into the state where a block is on here unless I have a second block in the pit. It's only jarred oobleck, which therefore means it's down here, that turns one block into two at the top level. That does... That state can become 2 blocks up here, but I consume all of my resources to do it. Yup. 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 That's barter. A profit cannot be made sufficiently well in order to get the resources to complete this puzzle. If my assumptions were correct, I would have proven that. They're obviously not. One of them, maybe multiples of them, but that's what I have. Alright, that's barter. Fine. I mean, I didn't expect Loop 2 to just solve everything right away, and it didn't, so my expectations were met. See you next time for High Tide. That's what's happening. Bye.